Have you tried something new yet this year? Well, at the end of last year, I tried a little something new with a few friends, and I wanted to share that with you today. Hopefully, this helps encourage you into stepping out of your comfort zone because it was really a step out of my comfort zone. But hopefully, this gives you some inspiration and some helpful tips if you are interested in doing something new, specifically, starting a new endeavor or a business. Hopefully, there's some tips that some little nuggets that you can glean from this information. I'm Clarice Warner, the Girl with the Pearls, the founder and education director of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, where coding education is key. And on this channel, I provide you with information, tips, and strategies on how to become a certified marketable medical coder. Now, we're taking a small break. I'll be back next week, I believe, with some tips and tricks for medical coding and health information management professionals as I am completing my updates to our 2021 online medical coding course, as well as our new and improved and updated E&M leveling checklist. I will have two. I will have one for that has been updated for inpatient hospital services, inpatient observation services, and all the services that maintain the current or maintain the previous E&M guidelines. And then we will have a new checklist for the services in office or other outpatient services. So be on the lookout for that. The link to the updated E&M leveling service checklist is in the description box below. So check that out. But this video just provides you with a little sneak peek into something that I did that was outside of my comfort zone that I wanted to share with you all and hopefully encourage you to do the same.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've watched. I'm gonna obtain that information from you, Rico, so I can put it in a thread for people. But I've watched people also go through GCMI and come out, and what they thought they went in there, they thought one way, leave GCMI and have a different. Well, I'm going to say mindset. One of the things I know Willie speaks about a lot is that mindset is so important. When Rico said, he said, entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's not just a thing, right? It's not just a job. It's a mindset that has to occur. And I know GCMI work helps with that as well. So I have two last questions, if I can hold you for just a little while longer, just a moment. And that is, how has COVID impacted your business, if it has at all, and how have you dealt with that? Because we know that COVID has impacted some entrepreneurs.
Well, I'll speak because it's been a positive for us, and I will say COVID, along with the racial injustice, and it's been positive from the standpoint that it's forced us to do things differently. In terms of how we serve, our businesses and individuals who are growing as entrepreneurs, and it's brought more awareness to me for GCMI, but I think it's brought more awareness of the importance of African American, Black-owned businesses, in terms of some of the support they need, but that we have to take ownership of some of that, right? We have to be more aggressive in our approach and our thought process and our mindset when we're looking at this. And it also shows the inequities of the system in which we're operating and working under as well on some level. And so, it's just brought more attention of the importance. And, we're all grinding away, but in our world, there wasn't enough emphasis on it, even though we're trying to push it and we're trying to do it, but there just wasn't enough emphasis. And I think this just showed how much inequities there are out there. And I think it's important now, and they're seeing the importance of a GCMI. So we're trying to grow and expand and help as many people as we can and be prepared for that. And so that's what we've been doing, since it happened. We went virtual and we've taught our classes, but it just seems that there's just more and more individuals who are looking for this. So it's been great from that perspective. I hate that the fact that we're dealing with all of this. But what's going to happen afterwards, to me, and position yourself now and learn what you need to do so you'll be prepared and not be dealing with all of the things that you're dealing with. And I really think it is a mentality that both Nathan and Clarice were just talking about lifelong learning. That you have to be in that mindset. You really do. So
yeah, Willie, and I think for the growth with you all, as we indicated earlier, COVID has people sitting and thinking like, they just let me go, and now what? And I had this idea 15 years ago and I never did nothing with it. And this is the time, right? Yeah. So I could see how that growth has occurred with you all. Clarice, were you going to say something?
I was. I agree with Willie. It's been positive. Of course, the whole thing is not positive, but just the impact on my business personally has been positive. We have been in the virtual learning field since 2017, and it helped me push people because people were reluctant. They wanted to come into the building, and I still have a brick and mortar space, but they wanted to come into the building, and I was like, no, we got this online. Come join me online. It was like, no, I want to see you. But so it helped push me, but then it also allowed me to think globally. So I'm not tied to just what I see here in Cincinnati or even in Ohio. I mean, I have people who contact me from around the world, hey, we're doing that over here. Can you help show us how to do XYZ? So it has been kind of an equalizer, if you will, in this space, in this time. And so in that, it has been positive for us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, well, for CinDigital, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes, Brother Rico.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, cool. So what we do is produce digital products, podcast live streams for the Black community. COVID, I don't want to say a positive per se, because, so many people lost their lives, so many businesses are being shuttered. But for us, it's just put a magnifier on the virtual space, on the digital space. I had a vision many years ago while still at commercial radio that the internet could be a great leveler for Black media. And COVID has proven that to be true. So in terms of the Nathan Ivey show, I've seen a dramatic increase in our numbers and our interactions. And it's just much more of an interest in digital media these days because everybody is shut in. And for me personally, I've looked at COVID as a stress test, personally, household, also your business. And to this point, CDM is on the right side of that stress test. But again, it was the nature of what we were doing anyway.
Yeah. And I kind of want to second what Nathan and Clarice has said. So my business, basically, our two largest revenue drivers are the things that are at the top of the national dialogue, right? Pandemic. So we have the e-learning. So when we talked about earlier going from a service base to a product base, so we started to we have our own catalog of e-learnings. But the other side of that business is that once we invested in the technology, we began to develop them as a third party for other companies. So a lot of these organizations who we were trying to get to go convert their materials over to e-learning prior to this was like, no, there's no need for it. So business picked up in that from that point when it happens, then they're calling us saying, hey, can you take this and make this virtual for us? So from that way, business has picked up, or at least maintained some business that we lost from face to face. And then the other side is the diversity and inclusion. So where organizations weren't trying to hear or didn't want to spend the same, they wanted to come in for an hour talk. Now you can get a training program going on because they realize the importance and they see how this has not only the right thing to do, but has a impact on their business. So Year over year, we're pretty flat, but that's saying something in the pandemic where a lot of people lost a lot of business. So that's how it's, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm with you, Rico, in the sense of that diversity and inclusion. I spent before COVID, I was spending so much more time around people really asking for my services in regards to leadership development. A lot of training around, how do I get these mid-level managers, help them, help us help them, right? A lot around that leadership development. When the pandemic happened, but not so much the pandemic, but the George Floyd situation, and how it impacted our nation. It has been a little bit of a shift, because now they're saying we really need some help. How do I have conversations with my students? How do I have conversations with my staff? What's the right thing to say, the wrong thing to say? All of these types of things that have now. So it's been a little bit of a shift again because of that situation. And so I'm glad to know that organizations are now saying, I wish we would have thought about this before, and it shouldn't have taken George Floyd's death for us to have these conversations, such a public death, because we know that wasn't the first and it hasn't been the last, but it was such a public one and it has such an impact. I hate that it took that, but I am glad that people are making that conversation more relevant and understanding its importance. The last question I have is, what are some resources entrepreneurs or those looking to be, some resources for entrepreneurs and those who are looking to become entrepreneurs? I know Rico spoke of something, but are there other things that entrepreneurs or those looking can utilize? And Willie, I'm going to ask you to jump in, because I know this is a lot of what you do. And I saw something you've been working on. I want you to talk about it.
So, we've been part of a collaborative with the African American Chamber and Mortar, and to be able to provide emergency business relief grants. And we're looking at doing that. We provided one round where we were able to provide grants to, close to 60 businesses and minority businesses. And we're going to do another round here probably starting next week. And they're going to be ranging from 1,000 to 15,000 in terms of grants. So it's an opportunity for us to be able to support, these businesses. And then, there's a couple other initiatives in terms of part of what we're going to do as well is provide technical assistance and support. Businesses that, need to their financials reviewed with them, or, maybe they need their understand their digital footprint, or, things that they need to be able to evaluate their business, evaluate their business model. I think it's an important piece. So we want to provide some services with that. There is a COVID technical assistance initiative along with us, the Chamber, the Minority Business Accelerator, that we're also, where you'll be able to, get evaluated and be able to, get assessed and supported. So that's another piece. And then there's some other initiatives that's going to happen early in January. Some grant offerings, small business grant offerings as well, and some lending programs as well. So there'll be some things on the horizon. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a lot more that comes out of, with the new president coming in, and some of the initiatives that they're going to try to do to try to, jumpstart the economy again. And GCMI wants to be there to be able to support all the businesses, minority businesses out there, and how we can. So it's about, resources. And I always say I'm not always the best resource, but I sure can try to help you find it if I'm not it. And I think that's an important aspect, because sometimes people just don't know what they don't know, and they want to ask somebody, and they want to, feel confident that they're going to get some answers and someone will talk to them. And that's part of what we want to make sure we do. So, there's some, again, some things happening next week, and then beginning of the year, there'll be several different things going down. So check us out on all of our, social medias at GCMI Nation, and you should be able to pick up on some things.
Yes, and I will ensure that all of our panelists' websites are in the information in the text once we get off, so that if it's anyone who wants to reach out to you all or pick your brain a little bit more or use your services, that they can. Anyone else? Resources?
Real quick, and this kind of goes back to the one question you had about what I wish I knew before I started my business. And Willie, this might be something that you can probably maybe hopefully attest to. I know another lender mentioned it to me, but just if you're for real, and you're serious about this thing, establishing your business credit. And that could be something as simple as getting like a gas credit card, just to put some, I know early on, I personally financed my business. And then it got to the point, it was like, well, wait a minute, you need to pivot. If you want to be a business and operate like a business. And then the other thing was like the DUNS number, because that's something that it's like your business credit report, and lenders look at that and they can determine, the reliability and financial stability of your business. So some of those types of things, when you're at the point where, you want to take this to the next level and take it to the next step, just making sure that you get your business credit and your business financial papers in order.
Yeah, and I think that's great. That I think part of what you said is just being able to talk to somebody about it, so you understand it, understand how to build it. We have a class that we offer as part of our second level of our business development class, where it's called Business Credit, where you sit and somebody can help you answer some of those questions. And because I do think the PPP that they did and all these things, it was all set up where you had to have a relationship with the bank. Well, banks didn't want you to have a lot of relationships, because they stopped you from coming into branches, right? They were making you do everything online. So, building relationships was tough, and people just didn't do it. But that's how they sort of triggered that you had to have a relationship with the bank in terms of to get the PPP. And so, but I think it's important to be able to talk to bankers or talk to someone that you can ask those questions, similar to what Clarice just asked, and just to get information. And that's part of what we do as well. It's just to be able to talk with people and to get some questions answered and help them through that process. So thank you, Clarice. That's great.
Thank you.
All great points. What I would add to it is the internet, YouTube, in terms of a resource. I mean, YouTube is nothing more than a big search engine, right? The most popular search engine on the internet behind Google, as I understand it. And so use it. Depending on where you are in your business, I guarantee that someone else has been there before. And more than likely, they've shared that in an interview, in a summit, in a TED Talk, in a symposium, on a podcast. Use it. Use that information and use the experiences of the people that have already either made the mistakes. They might be in a similar industry or be in a similar position as you are in your industry and business, and use it. I'm on YouTube all the time. And most of the time I'm learning. I'm trying to learn from other people's either mistakes or their successes, so I could try to recreate it where it makes sense. So, the internet is a great resource. Use it.
Okay. What I would say is exactly what you all talked about when it comes to resources is to read and develop yourself. That's just the biggest thing. Just like Nathan is saying, whether it's through YouTube and you're watching videos, but for me, when I'm thinking about leadership development and bias and diversity and inclusion and all of these things is to educate myself through reading and making sure that I am staying in touch with what's going on right now, because things shift and change. And when you're talking about diversity, inclusion, and bias, Rico, right, the language changes and It is, and it's quick. You know, you have to keep up with these things, so you want to make sure that you're educating yourself as well. So I know I've kept you over a little bit. I want to thank each of you for joining me this evening and for sharing your wisdom and your experience and being transparent with those things. It is my hope that someone, well, I've seen it in here. This has been a segment for someone who is thinking about it, who was, you know, on the edge of giving up, and now are like, oh, okay, I didn't think about this. I need to think about that. I hope that it helps. I thank you all so very much for spending time with us this evening. I want to thank iCondi for being my sponsor this evening, our sponsor this evening. Remember, iCondi.com, icondy.com, where iconic styles are sweet on the eyes. That's what it's saying. Sweet on the eyes. iCondi.com. Thank you, iCondi, for being our sponsor. Any last words, good people? Anything before we go?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. AMG. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with these great folks.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much.
Have us on we'll be on anytime you need us.
Oh, that's just so nice. Thank you. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. I heard Clarice say earlier, before we get off of here, I just want to set things straight. I heard Clarice say earlier, all these Cincinnati people, I want to be clear about something. I am not a born and raised Cincinnatian. And before I get off of here, I just wanted to be clear that I am not a born and raised Cincinnatian. All of these Cincinnatians.
You are UC alum, so leave it all alone.
I am
here long enough, over 20-something years. Come on in the fold. Come on in.
I am a UC
embrace your home. Come on in.
A Bearcat to the end. UC. I am not. Since I am from Cleveland, I am not from these parts.
You've been here longer than you've lived in Cleveland by now.
Exactly. And you can't leave it. You can't leave it. You know you love it. You can't leave it.
Say that, Rico. You should have kept that in. Thank you all again. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
So what do you think? Was that helpful? Hopefully you got some of the nuggets and the gems that were provided in the video. And I just wanted to sign off. I'm Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, the founder and education director of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, where coding education is key, providing you with information, tips, and strategies on how to become a certified marketable medical coder. Remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and provide a comment if there was information or tips that you either have questions about or wanted to make a comment. We appreciate that. And I do read all of your comments. So feel free to place a comment there. As always, be safe, be kind, and don't wish for it, work for it. Until next time, take care.